Folks, it turns out God is a woman, and her name is Sydney Sweeney. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the garage. Gerald here with you for another quick spoiler-free, I want to emphasize, spoiler-free movie review for the new Michael Mohan religious horror thriller, Immaculate. This is a movie that is embedded in my mind. It has not left my psyche since I saw it. I absolutely loved it. Let's talk about Immaculate. Cecilia, an American nun of devout faith, embarks on a new journey in a remote convent in the Italian countryside. Cecilia's warm welcome quickly devolves into a nightmare as it becomes clear her new home harbors a sinister secret. Sydney Sweeney plays Cecilia. She is a nun who is kind of running away from her U.S. roots to join an Italian convent. While there, shortly after arriving, she becomes pregnant. It's a mystery as to how she became pregnant. Immaculate is a play on the Immaculate Conception, of course. I'm not a huge religious person. I want to start out by saying that. I believe there's something out there. I just don't know that I believe a lot of the things that are taught in Christianity and particularly in Catholicism, which is ironic because I personally was baptized Catholic. My grandmother was 100% Italian and a devout Catholic. I went to church with her countless times to sit through various masses, and I find the whole thing fascinating, but I would definitely not say that I'm a practicing Catholic or Christian. So there's something to be said for that for this review, because as I said in the top, I absolutely loved this movie. Now, as a horror guy and as a fiend for the genre, this movie, Immaculate, did something that I have been waiting for decades. Possibly since the 70s, early 80s, where it is courageous in its storytelling and it seemingly has no boundaries. Because a lot of the setup and the plot that I just described to you is the plot of Rosemary's Baby, right? And other movies that are even coming out this year in terms of prequels and remakes like the Omen series. This has been done before. But what this movie did without giving anything away is it went for it. It showed you the things that seem to have been held back since William Friedkin's The Exorcist, which was a very in-your-face religious horror movie that really created this subgenre, if I'm being honest. Some Italian horror could be tracked back, perhaps. So, since then, we're talking 50 years, movies have somewhat been handcuffed in the religious genre. This movie did not do that. It was very brave and forthright in its storytelling. Let's talk a little bit about the performance of Sydney Sweeney in this movie. She is an absolute divine, pardon the pun, being in this film. She played a similar character in a movie last year called Reality, which I believe is currently streaming on HBO Max. You can check it out. She also gives a very stripped down, quiet performance in Reality. And she does it again here, this time as a nun who's kind of looking for her place in the world and for Jesus, etc. She is the blonde bombshell of the moment, and I think it will last a lot longer than a moment. I think she is the modern day Marilyn Monroe or Madonna from the 1980s. Again, I didn't mean for the pun to be there. In Immaculate, she's the producer of this film. She's been kind of swarming this project for I think 7 or 8 years. And it finally got made. She decided to be part of the making process and the star of the film. When it gets to the last act of this movie, and I would say the last 20 minutes or so of this film, is some of the best sequences in the genre of horror that I've seen. I would put it in probably the top 10 final acts in horror. It continues to one-up itself. This is obviously spoiler free, so I can't tell you the steps that it takes to get to where it gets. But if you are a fan of the horror genre, and if you are okay with going to extreme lengths in the religious realm to tell a story that is a horror movie, yes, like Rosemary's Baby or The Omen, etc., but also somewhat has a important message that doesn't hit you in the face as it's happening. It's one of those things that I kind of reflected on after. Sydney Sweeney in this movie is essentially pregnant, not by her will, not by her want, right? So she's carrying a baby that she does not want, that she does not intend to carry. And the men at the convent are orchestrating her carrying that baby to term. I think you get what I'm saying without getting super political, and I also don't want to spoil anything. The movie's not political, and it doesn't play that way, but it does give you a lot to reflect on. And I also really appreciated that aspect of Michael Mohan's direction here. Flawless set design. It actually was filmed in Rome, I believe. It was in Italy for sure. And it must have been a convent or a previous convent, but it's like this beautiful setting. You know, the whole movie is about her kind of finding herself and finding her place in Catholicism and in the church. And when we get to that final act, she finds her place in this movie and she takes back her life in a sense. And when that switch flips, man, what a fucking ride, guys. If you're a horror fan, you've got to see this. This is currently sitting in the top, like, probably 3 movies for me of this year so far. Aside from Dune Part 2, this is probably the best experience I've had personally in a theater this year. I absolutely love this movie. The score is phenomenal. The cinematography, the lighting. There's some jump scares in the film that were probably not needed when you're watching it. But then again, you see the Giallo influence. You see the Italian horror influence. And a lot of those jump scares, to me, make a little bit more sense that they were perhaps purposeful on Michael Mohan's part. And they are jump scares, so they do make you jump. It's just such a good movie and such a good entry into the horror genre. I said that a couple weeks ago with Late Night with the Devil. Now we have Immaculate. The first Omen, as I'm recording, is coming out tomorrow. I haven't seen that yet, but I can't wait to. I've seen some good feedback on that one as well. It's going to be 2024 appears to be the year of the religious horror renaissance, and I'm all about it. Praise be. What did you guys think of Immaculate? Let me know down below. Is Sydney Sweeney the next great scream queen? I think she's kind of shoehorning her way into that list of folks. Let me know what you thought down below, and thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time in the garage.